So I finally saw Jordan Peele produce Marlon Wayans starring him. You know, now that I've seen the whole thing, I understand the reviews. I understand what was coming out of all of the critics' mouths when they said that this is a career-turning performance for Marlon Wayans and a otherwise uneventful film. But here's my thing. Because I went into this film having already read those reviews, I went in with a very open mind of going, okay, whatever I thought this was going to be, remove that and accept that things are going to get strange. And that helped me a lot. I think where this film struggles for me is that at its core, this is a story of good versus evil. That's it. Keep that in your mind. However, at no point does it really necessarily dive deep enough into any aspect. The problem to me begins with the marketing for this film because it presented itself as something very grounded. You have an aging quarterback, Marlon Wayans, the GOAT, who takes under his wing the new up-and-comer. We're going to see how an individual who is afraid of losing the spotlight tortures, takes down a young man who is threatening him. You get something here that turns more art house, and it's about, I'd say, a little before halfway. You just start seeing a lot of things that go, is it really happening, or is it all in our young main character's head? Because, and I don't think this is a spoiler, he's suffering from a head injury. And what I mean is this film seems to struggle with what exactly it wants to critique in its allegories, right? There are moments where it's like, okay, fandom and what that looks like, how dark it can get when you have individuals who are obsessed with a player or a team. You've already established that a lot of this is you painting a colorful picture, but a dark picture of celebrity and fandom and what comes with this lifestyle. But instead of showing us just how depraved it can be in that moment, we just get a tease of it and we jump to the next scene. And I feel like that happens a lot, quite often in the film, which leads me to one of my biggest complaints with this is that the story, right? The movie is called Him, but I think we don't get enough of seeing Marlon Wayans be forefront. We don't get enough of his character's development. If Him is about an individual going, I am that guy, I'm the best, I'm the GOAT, and I had to sacrifice a lot to get here, then the story should be focused in showing how much Marlon Wayans is willing to sacrifice to maintain his level of superstardom and how much the young hero is willing to sacrifice or not sacrifice to dethrone or walk away from Marlon Wayans' lifestyle. But we don't get that because we're still focused on showing so many different other messages of, oh, football is still this barbaric sport. So here's a lot of shots, X-ray shots of two people banging together and showing how bad, football can be. Here's also the dark, nasty side of power, of money, old money, and the games they play with people's lives, the rituals they conduct that involve like demons and the supernatural. And it just starts going like, I'm not sure what storyline I'm supposed to be following. Isn't this about Marlon Wayans and our young main character? Like, I look at Isaiah, Marlon Wayans' character, and this is an individual that has an agenda, and the agenda isn't good for our young hero. And I don't know if this is because of Marlon Wayans or if it's because of the script, but at no point does he actually turn that menacing. There are several kind of odd moments with his character where he goes from putting on the front, the face of, I'm here to get you to the next level, and then flashes of the menacing side, to all of a sudden he's almost honestly telling this guy, giving him real world advice of what it takes to be the franchise leader, what it takes to be the GOAT, and also almost seeming like he's coming from a place of regret. Like, I actually don't want to do this to you, kid. Like, again, just like everybody else, kind of asking him, are you sure this is the road you want to go down? Are you really him? I want to now go to the end here where we're talking about, like I said, the final act where a lot of people kind of go, this doesn't fit the rest of the movie. Because I had the warning ahead of time that the third act was going to be kind of out there, I was, again, open-minded and was like, whatever they give me, I'm just going to accept and try to appreciate it for what it was. That helped me a lot, y'all. I laughed a lot, but I can understand why people are upset because you've already went from grounded film to art house blockbuster to now like this zany Tarantino off kilter kill everybody type energy. And for me, it worked because by this point I'd gotten to, this is a story of good versus evil. And so what I'm witnessing now is how those stories used to end. And then it becomes fun. In the end, this wasn't my favorite Jordan Peele project, even though he only produced it. I think Marlon Wayans did okay. I'm a little surprised that the response is so, wow, he deserves an Oscar. I think he was fine. I think Marlon Wayans suffers a little bit from the fact that he's so visible on social media. You recognize a lot of his quirks and his mannerisms if you watch a lot of his clips or his stand-up. So for me, I saw a lot of Marlon in this Isaiah character. There were only one or two moments, like when they were in the sauna having a deep conversation, that I went, oh, there it is. Now he's dialed into Isaiah. And again, I wish we just would have fleshed out more of like what was really going through his mind instead of him just kind of speaking in riddles and rhymes to the young main character and only kind of popping up to tease/mentor him. I'm not disappointed, but I'd like to see more. I believe Marlon Wayans is a very underrated actor. I think that there's more to be pulled out of him, and I'd like to see him in more roles like this that kind of stretch. I just feel like this necessarily wasn't the script that dived into the full range of what he can perform on screen, because again, I think it's a little all over the place, even whether it wants to comment on the barbarism of the NFL, rich, dark power and the relation to cults and demonic energy, fandom, what that obsession does to people. And then, of course, what should have been the central focus, being that guy and unwilling to part with the spotlight. So I want to end on this, and this is my only spoiler. I like the ending because there's enough bad energy going around in the world right now that whenever a story decides to have good win, and remember I said this is a story about good versus evil, and that'll make it a lot easier for you to digest this film if you just go in with this is a knight versus a dragon. The end just becomes go knight, F yeah, slay the dragon and his minions, and then walk away like a badass. If you haven't seen him yet, I don't think there's a rush to, but when you do get a chance, if it pops across your screen, turn your brain off. Just enjoy for what it gives you, and I think you'll be all right.